myself and the police, the district attorney's investigators.
To him?
To him. But that's the only correspondence I had with him.
Did you get anything back?
Not directly to me, no, that I recall. I mean, there was ongoing correspondence, but I find he did not want to be found. He was very, very mysterious about his whereabouts and
elusive,
secretive, very elusive.
Did you know he was going to be picked up in Thailand?
Mm-hmm.
You knew that before. So the authorities kept you abreast of all of this.
Yes, they did.
Right?
They were great. Yeah.
All right, the first time you got to see him, and the way he was in Thailand, and when they bring him over here on the plane and everything, what were your reactions?
Well, I'd actually seen some pictures of him. They'd taken some surveillance pictures and sent them to me before he was arrested and said, "Do you recognize him?" And I said, "No, I don't." In fact, if this is a guy, he's a pretty clean-cut looking guy. I would have. You think of evil as being dark and sinister looking.
And he didn't look that?
No, not at all. But I didn't recognize him, and had, to my knowledge, never seen him.
You came on television, though, and surprised a lot of people by saying, "Don't prejudge."
Well, we'd witnessed that so severely in our case that we had this rush to judgment. We want it solved by the 6 o'clock news, and I could see that happening, and I knew that the police didn't. They had a lot of work to do, and they told me that. They said we didn't want to arrest him then, but we didn't want to lose him. The Thai government wanted him out of the country. We can't risk losing him, so we're going to arrest him. But we got a lot of work to do.
And
so
the DA cautioned too, right? Didn't she?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she said, we've got a lot of work to do here. An arrest is just an arrest. I mean, it takes that much to arrest somebody, and it takes that much to convict. And so it was an arrest. And
what was going through you?
Well, it was like anticipating something that you really wanted, but you were so afraid that you'd be disappointed that you didn't want to anticipate it.
You want the killer?
Absolutely.
But you want it to be the right person?
Got to be the right person. And I just was fearful that there would be something that would say, well, this isn't the guy.
More with John Ramsey on this exclusive edition of Larry King Live. We'll be right back.
Here's a couple of her paintings. This is a picture of the fairgrounds in northern Michigan. She always liked to ride the carousel and the Ferris wheel, so she painted a picture of it. I think that's pretty good for a 6-year-old. This is one she did around Halloween. Here's her pumpkin, and this, I don't know if you can see it or not, but she painted a little spider web up here in the tree. But I just think her color and all these little squiggles and the sun and everything just look so artistic. But I always thought that I would be the one to leave them. I had no idea that Jonbenet would be taken from us before I would leave this world.
We're back with John Ramsey. Did you ever sue the tabloids?
We did.
How'd you do?
I think we batted 100%.
You got settlements?
In 5 cases, yeah.
Can't reveal the amounts, though, but
They won't allow you to.
Yeah. But you saw it every week, didn't you?
Pretty much.
They didn't let up. It was either you or her, or your son.
That's right, yeah.
D.A. Lacey, she came in for some criticism. Was it deserved?
No, not at all. She did what she needed to do, I believe, and I was grateful that she did it. It was a very serious lead. It was a confession, a very credible confession, and to have not done anything about it would have been criminal.
How'd you feel when you heard there wasn't a DNA match?
Well, we were disappointed, but not totally surprised, because I didn't want to hope for something that I would be disappointed.
When the judge dismissed all charges, he went free. How'd you feel then?
Well, it was unfortunate because the charges in California were dismissed only because the police had lost the evidence. He certainly appears to be a person that preys on young girls and therefore is dangerous.
You lived part of the time in Atlanta. When he left here, he went to Atlanta, he said, to be with his father. Have you ever run into him?
No. No.
Have you ever called him?
No.
Has he ever called you?
No.
Did you watch him on this show?
I did not.
What do you think of him?
Well, I think he's a pretty mixed-up fellow, and I don't. Beyond that, I don't know him. He's a pretty sad fellow.
Did he say a lot of things about your house that were familiar to you?
No, not that I recall. I don't remember seeing anything about the house.
Is there a possibility, John, that he could have been there without having killed?
Well, that's what he said in his confession, that he was there. He never said he was the one that did it. He said he was there.
Think he was obsessed with your daughter?
Clearly. Clearly.
I think a lot of others were, too.
Well, now that I know about the world more than I did 10 years ago, probably.
What do you make of the collective fascination with her?
Well, sadly, there's approximately 2,000 children murdered every year in this country. In fact, we have a horrible record in that regard. And for some reason, Jonbenet's name and case has stood out. I think, I don't know why. It's she was murdered on Christmas night. It's a night.
That has something to do with it.
For children, the day for children. It's supposed to be peace on earth that night, and this horrible crime happened. And of course, there were the videos that the pageant people released or sold that, of course, got out there and made good television. I don't know. Beyond that, why? But I'm grateful that people care about my daughter. I'm grateful that the case hasn't been allowed to die and be shelved, as so many of them have. And by keeping the profile high, hopefully we'll get some information one day that'll solve it.
Do you ever think about writing a book?
Well, we did 4, 5, 6 years ago.
Oh, I remember that. So you had. We're back with John Ramsey. We'll be including phone calls and some emails as well. You have had terrible tragedy. You lose a wife, you lose a young daughter. You also lost a 22-year-old daughter, right?
I did, yes, Beth.
Is that before you married Patsy?
No, it was after we were married. And
so that's from your first marriage?
First marriage. Patsy and I had been married about 12 years when we lost Beth.
She died in
just a freak accident. She was in Chicago to meet her boyfriend's parents for the first time. They were there for the weekend. They were on their way to the museum at noon and got hit by a truck, and they were both killed. And
how are you here? I'm not kidding, because the loss of a child is against all nature.
Well, it is. You don't recover back to the same when you lose a child. But I still have 3 wonderful children that I love dearly, and I have 3 wonderful grandchildren, and so you keep going because of that. I still have a lot of blessings.
Was Patsy very strong for you when your first daughter died?
Oh, yeah, amazing. She loved my children as much as she loved our children. Treated them no differently.
Vancouver, British Columbia, for John Ramsey. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Ramsey.
Hi.
Hi, I'd like to express my condolences for your losses.
Well, thank you.
And to let you know I admire you and I admired your wife very much.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. And my question has to do with grief. I know you've lost both female children, both suddenly, and I would like to know how the grief differs, if at all, when one is unresolved and one is yet. They're still your children, and they're sudden deaths without any rational explanation.
Yeah.
They are different in that, Beth, my oldest daughter Beth, was killed in a traffic accident. It was an accident. And accidents happen, and we moved on, and Jonbenet's life was taken by the willful act of another human being, and that was much more difficult for me to deal with, and still is, because you think, how could someone harm such a beautiful, precious child? And so it's a much deeper shock, I think, to me, even though I loved them both dearly. Beth's was an accident, and
there are lots of accidents.
Sadly, the world can be a tough place to live in, and risky.
But murder, it's
beyond my comprehension.
Spokane, Washington. Hello.
Hi. This is kind of a petty question, but it bothers me nothing less. Why is it that on the gravestone for Jonbenet it lists 12/25, Christmas Day, when, according to the accounts that I've read, it was the early morning hours of the 26th when she actually passed away?
Well, that's a good question. We don't know exactly when she passed away. I made that decision because the ransom note said, "I will contact you tomorrow." And so my presumption was that that ransom note and her death occurred the night before. It was just there's been no clear definition of exactly what hour she died.
She and Patsy are buried together?
They are. They're buried next to each other.
We have an email question from Ann in Carmel Valley, California. It says, John seems a very thoughtful, articulate speaker. Would he consider becoming a John Walsh-type TV personality?
Well, it hasn't...
All I can think of is just this poem that someone sent me. And I can't remember all of it, but it says, "Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not here. I do not sleep. Please don't stand at my grave and cry. I'm not here. I did not die."
How do you handle that? Not
well,
we're sorry.
Yeah, I have a lump in my throat, but I know what Patsy says is true.
Another email from Renee in Bradenton, Florida. Can Mr. Ramsey offer any counsel to other parents who've experienced the death of a child? Well,
we've tried to reach out to people that we can that have lost a child because we just know how painful it is, and I think the most important thing is, if you're blessed with other children, remember that they need you now more than anything, than they ever have. And so you need to be a strong parent for those other children who you're the most important person in their life. And they've lost a sibling. And that's a horrible thing for a young child to experience.
You know, it's very common, John, when a child dies for the marriage to break up.
80% of the time it does, statistically.
Guilt.
I don't know exactly why. I think the only logical thing I can conclude is that, you know, when you're so devastated by the loss of a child, you need your spouse to pick you up and to carry you, and they can't because they're devastated
too. El Paso, Texas. Hello.
Yes, Mr. Ramsey. I just wanted to ask you if your faith has played a role in your healing, and if you rely more on divine justice rather than earthly justice.
My faith really has played a huge role in healing, and I don't know how people deal with the loss of a loved one or a child without faith. It hasn't been easy. You always ask the question, why? Why did this happen? Why did a loving God let this happen?
Get angry at God?
I have, yeah, and I think that's normal. But Job asked that question, and he didn't get an answer.
No.
But it played a huge role. And the second part of the question was...
what about a heavenly...
justice,
heavenly
justice. That's a very good... And I thought about that, and have really concluded that that's really what the Bible tells us, that, you know, justice is mine, and I'll take care of it. And so I'm confident of that, and I would like to see justice in this world, but if it's not to happen, then I'm okay with that.
Port Richey, Florida, hello.
Yeah, hi, good evening, Larry.
Hi.
I'm sorry, Mr. Ramsey. The question I'd like to ask about Burke, being that he's a young man now in college, how is this anniversary and every day, you know, how is he do from day to day?
He looks great. He's here. He's at Purdue.
Yeah, well, Burke came with me tonight. We've been kind of... I told him when we lost his mom and Patsy that we would kind of have to look out for each other, and he's done a very good job of that. He looks after me and is very considerate and is doing really well. So I'm very proud of him.
He's well within himself, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
He carries himself very well.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
This must have been traumatic for him, though.
Well, it has to be, yeah. I mean, I remember when my mom died, I was 35, and it was very hard. And, so that was, in fact, that was, for me, the
Reflecting upon relationships that were dear to Patsy, we give thanks this day and celebrate the 25 years that she and John shared together in marriage. A caring and giving wife, John says without hesitation that she could have easily managed every aspect of their household and family life. But instead, she valued their relationship as a partnership, one with the other, working together.
We're back with John Ramsey, Hamilton, Ontario. Hello.
Hello, Mr. King. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
Mr. Ramsey, I'm extremely sorry for everything you've gone through.
Thank you.
I don't know how you get through it, and I guess my question is, how do you put up with people like a Geraldo Rivera when they do things like that sickening court display that he had, etc.?
Yeah, that was probably the one thing that really angered Patsy. I never saw Patsy get angry or mad, but that...
What was done after that?
Well, Geraldo Rivera had a mock trial of
Were you
Patsy.
the defendant? Or?
Oh, yeah. Well, I was, Patsy was, and I think Burke was, too. That made her mad, and I think that's the only media person I ever saw her get mad at. And it's disgraceful. It's absolutely disgraceful.
Did you ever talk to him about it?
No.
The concept that you said of working with people who's victims of cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Any secrets? What did you learn?
Well, I learned a lot, just a lot of little things, and I want to write them down before I forget. But it's kind of a common thing when someone's diagnosed with cancer. Is what do I do? There's no one right answer, and so you have to become your own advocate, your own detective. Which treatment should I try?
I see the ads for cancer centers and numbers.
Where do I go? Do I go to my local doctor? Do I fly to New York? Do I go to MD Anderson? Do I go to China? What do I do? Because there's no right answer. The best chemotherapy drug on the market today has about a 20 to 25% success rate across a broad population. So if you pick one of them, statistically, you've got a 25% chance of that drug working for you.
Did you stay with the same doctors through?
Patsy was treated initially at the National Institute of Health, which is a phenomenal place. And so she was treated there for a long time. Towards the end, she didn't qualify for the trials because that's all clinical trial work.
I know.
And so she couldn't be treated there anymore. So then we went to a doctor in Atlanta that took very good care of her.
You think about like Sloan Kettering, some of them. Well, Anderson.
So many choices, and do you do a clinical trial because that's experimental, but yet theoretically they're experimenting with what might be the next best, the next greatest treatment. And there's no one right answer.
Are the doctors, when a case like this, upbeat?
They're very genuine, very delicate. I don't know how they do it. Oncologists, it's a tough business for them, tough emotionally. I know when the doctor told us, really about 8 months before Patsy died, that perhaps it's time to. He didn't use the words give up, but that's what he was saying. It was said in such a way that it wasn't a shock. We knew what he was saying.
Don't you think oncology is the toughest specialty?
I would think so. It's got wonderfully rewarding when you're successful.
And you lose a lot of patients.
But it's